Here it comes, folks. E3 just a few days away. This is Invisible Walls episode 111, and this is our official pre-E3 show where we make our predictions for the show. We have a series of questions we're going to send around the horn to everybody today to get their take on what they think is going to happen at E3. Honestly, probably half of it, if we're lucky, will actually come true. But here to talk about that today is Mike Damiani.
Hey, everyone.
Patrick Morales.
Mere inches from an ailing Ryan, hoping not to get sick.
Yeah, Ryan Stevens is not on the show today. He's lost his voice. We're trying to save him for next week because we all know none of us are getting any sleep. So hopefully we can help him build a little physical cachet so he can survive next week's show. But Justin Spear is here.
Hey, I brought vitamin C for everyone.
Nice, I could use that.
And as you heard, Daniel Bloodworth is also on the show today.
Yes, and also a bit sick.
Yeah, actually, I'm still a little bit under the weather. I can't seem to shake this. I'm going to sleep like a madman over this coming weekend and make sure I'm ready to go. Lots and lots of burning questions coming from this year's E3. We don't have a whole lot of time, so let's get right to it. Okay, so here we go. Question number one. Mike, this one goes to you. Which publisher has the most to gain or lose at the show?
Well, on the lose side, I would have to say it's probably Nintendo, because with with Microsoft and Sony going after their market now with the motion controls, I mean, we've seen how people pushed Reggie about, HD, something to counter back, and they've been mum on it. I mean, they have the lead obviously, and they've got something up their sleeve, but if it's just Zelda and then there's nothing else beyond that, I mean, going down the line next year, I think they need something else beyond just Zelda for the Wii. Obviously, with the portable 3DS, they've got that as an answer. But with the Wii, they need something more than just a game as an answer right now.
Well, what can Nintendo do? I mean, at this point, they've released all their big franchises for the Wii. In some cases, those big franchises have been already released twice. In the case of Mario, 3 times, actually. Big-time Mario games released for the Wii. What can they even do at this point? Are they going to need to dig up something from the archives? Is it a new IP? God forbid.
Yeah, I think they definitely need a new IP. I mean, everyone's been saying that. Even Sakurai said that when he was making Smash Brothers Brawl. It's like, oh, all these years we have all these great franchises, and the last one was like, what, Pikmin?
Yeah.
So
Nice to have another one.
And chances are we'll probably see, finally, the new Pikmin at the
Right.
show.
Yeah.
Ryan says no. I mean, we have to at this point, right? It's been rumored in
we
development.
don't have to see anything from Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, on the flip side, I would like to see maybe Sega have a stronger showing, because they've been kind of hitting the bottom of the barrel recently. They haven't been doing too well. They got Vanquish, and that could be a big hit for them. I'd like to see more of that and see how it's going to turn out with them.
Well, I'll say this much. Vanquish was the most popular piece of media from our pre episode of Game Trailers TV. Hands down, it did 500,000 views in a couple days. Definitely that game is on people's radar. So, how long has it been since we've really played a AAA action game from Sega? It's been quite a while.
Yeah.
Bayonetta?
Good point. Touche.
Yeah.
I was about to say Bayonetta, but I mean, yeah.
But is that a AAA or is that...
Oh, yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
The third A is a little smaller.
Yeah, a little smaller.
It's bigger
It's
than
2.5
AA.
A.
It's cheesy, but I mean, this game's going to be cheesy too, from all I can see.
Yeah. So what about to gain? Who has the most to gain from this, guys?
EA, with all their EA partners.
EA always has a lot to gain.
Bulletstorm, Mikami.
The lineup's huge.
They got was it the Respawn announcement too coming?
Right.
So that should be huge. What about Activision though? I mean,
What do they got? I mean, they have Bungie, but
they got the
Everything else
the
is
Bungie
kinda-
announcement. I mean, that could be huge. We don't know what it is. I mean, that could possibly make everyone forget a little bit about losing, the Call of Duty guys. I mean, what a year's time does a lot. E3 announcement, and then whatever it is, probably going to be a shooter, comes out next year. I mean, some people are quick to forget when you release another solid game. I mean, I think Activision has a chance to show off some stuff that can make people forget about the more recent news. It's kind of hit them hard.
But what about Sony and Microsoft? I mean, they're
Yeah.
really showing their motion controls in full for the first time. Shouldn't they have a lot to gain from this show?
I think Microsoft actually is my pick for the most to lose, because I think Natal is still kind of this nebulous thing. nobody knows if it's actually going to have any great games. And, I think people are really looking to Halo Reach to do something different than past Halo games. And if it doesn't do that, then, it could be kind of a bust for Microsoft.
Well, I mean, a lot of us have been on the beta
Yeah.
for Reach. I mean, I'll admit, I played it pretty hardcore for the first couple days, and then I never really went back to it. I mean, despite all the changes, it still felt very Halo to me. I can't even tell you how many hundreds of hours I've already logged playing Halo. Obviously, the campaign is a whole other beast, but I think if they are counting on Halo Reach to make their big statement from the show, I don't think that's the right strategy. I also don't believe that's what they're doing. I think
Right.
it is going to be about Natal. There are a ton of Natal games coming. I think a lot of those games are going to be coming from Rare. And honestly, if you look across Microsoft's portfolio of developers, who better really to work on Natal than Rare?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that makes perfect sense. We haven't heard anything about any games they've been working on for a while. But I would agree with you. Natal, you're right. It has been nebulous, and it's kind of split 50-50 with people as whether they're interested in it or they're not. They're blowing it out hardcore with the Cirque du Soleil show. I don't know how that's going to hit the core gamers. But I also think the strategy here isn't necessarily to hit the core gamers.
Right.
I think they realize they need to expand their market the way Nintendo did. How much backlash will there be from the hardcore kids if the end of E3 comes and they're like, wait a minute, they just blew out E3, but they didn't blow it out for me. I mean,
Yeah, well, that's kind of was the reaction to the move, right? Like a lot of the stuff they showed, okay, this just looks like a bunch of extra Wii
Which
shovelware.
it does.
Yeah.
I
So-
think actually, sorry. I think Sony and Microsoft have maybe a lot more to prove than they have to gain, because if they don't succeed with their motion controls, it's going to,
It could get ugly.
gonna be a
There's
blow.
a lot of
Yeah.
R&D dollars tied up in those two things, and if you're really going for the casual market, do those casual people need another machine to play bowling and tennis and that kind of stuff? It'll be interesting to watch.
Even looking at that Move demo a while back where they actually did use it outside of just a tech demo with the SOCOM controls, it looked a little underwhelming, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've already had that with Metroid Prime 3. I thought the controls in that game were great. So, it's going to be tough to trump that or one-up that or have such a huge advantage over that people will actually sit up and take notice. So,
Right.
Again, I think it's going to be a really it's going to be the tail of the tape this year at E3 for those two publishers breaking out beyond the hardcore market.
So, you've come back for more, Ian.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, question number 2. What, if any, new hardware will be shown at the show, Patrick Morales?
I think it's pretty much a given that we're bound to hear something from Nintendo's 3DS, right? All these details.
Well, I think they've already announced that they're going to show that at the show. So let's just
They
kind of
have,
take
okay.
that off the table for now.
Okay, so other than the 3DS.
Right.
You know what? I think probably it's maybe a little too early for the next generation of consoles, but I think we'll be seeing different form factors, like the 360 Slim or, maybe another version of the PS3.
Really? Another PS3?
The PS3 Slimmer.
Yeah, even slimmer.
mean,
Maybe like a bigger, hard drive or something like that.
Have they ever made a third version of their consoles? Only
No.
2 versions ever, yeah. They slim it down and then they usually stop.
Well,
But they actually did it a lot earlier in the life cycle this time, so...
I'm trying to remember if the PlayStation had.
well, they had the tiny
More than
PlayStation
It had the tiny
1, but that was the
version,
only.
But it came,
That-
again,
yeah,
that
that's
came
like
along...
right at the very tail end.
Maybe nothing as dramatic as the Slim, but maybe a bigger hard drive or something like that. PSP 2, maybe.
Yeah, I think.
Really?
Well, the quotes going around the past couple of days have been talking about how the PSP Go is an experiment, and they see that people really want their physical media, etc.
Or an abortion.
I wish I had that much money to experiment with. That'd be nice.
But I mean, it sounds to me like a setup for we're going to announce the new PSP, and I think that with the 3DS coming out, I think it is really time. Those systems have been out for a while.
But wasn't the Go the PSP2 really?
No, I
not
mean it was
really.
the same hardware. It just took out the UMD drive.
But isn't that hardware already plenty powerful enough for a handheld?
Apparently not. They're saying the 3DS is rumored to be stronger than the Wii.
Yeah, I mean,
Something
I
crazy
think
like
that
that.
really is what we're going to be seeing out of these new
What does
systems.
that mean?
Yeah.
It's power
Yeah, they were
levels
getting
off the
kind of
charts.
far. Or they're getting a little tall tales there with the power of the 3DS. At one point, I think they were saying it could do 360 PS3 visuals, and I was like, I think that's a little.
I don't know if that was
extreme.
misquoted though. I think they were saying
Yeah.
that maybe the processing power was on par to their. I don't know about visual
But
quality.
that's just processing power. I mean, when has Nintendo system ever been like the real graphical beast of like the generation? It's usually been able to hold its own, but more recently it seems like they just favor like having a good solid infrastructure rather than having like the top level visuals.
Yeah.
Oh.
Does it make sense that the 3DS perhaps is a handheld Wii?
Maybe.
I hope.
I think that
Wow.
both
Then
systems.
they can bring
I-
Virtual Console, all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
over to their handheld.
But I think both systems will likely have some kind of motion control, just because it's become standard now with the
iPhone
and
4 has
everything,
motion
yeah.
control.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if PSP2 had a touchscreen.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at that either. What about the Wii HD? Pactor's long. Actually, has Pactor now finally admitted that he was wrong on that? I
Yes,
think in the last Pack Attack, he was like, "All right."
Yeah, he finally caved in and said that his philosophies and Nintendo's philosophies don't match up. So he doesn't run Nintendo. So but
Well, we're
he-
also starting to see the typical Nintendo pattern of them putting out the new colors now.
Yeah.
We saw it with the N64, and we saw it with the GameCube, and now we're starting to see it with the Wii. So, we got black now. They showed that powder blue color when they first got ready to launch it, and a couple other different hues. I don't think they're ready to bail on that money-making machine yet of changing colors. It's pretty surprising, honestly, how much it bumps hardware for Nintendo every time they put out a new color of it. So I would be surprised if they show a new version of the Wii. I'm really interested to see what the 3DS does. And then the Xbox 360 Slim, that's...
Yeah, I think that's a likelihood. With the Natal, I think they're going to bundle it together, and they're going to have a completely new form factor that kind of matches.
It makes sense. From what I've heard through the grapevine, is that the fail rates of the 360 hardware have finally leveled out, and it's the machine. It's that people are smiling and laughing.
I just sent my 360 out, so
Oh,
You
yeah.
just mailed yours out?
I did. Yeah, I just got mine back.
When did you buy that machine?
Oh, not that long ago.
Oh,
too.
really?
Yeah.
I got mine back in the last 2 months, and it had the Falcon chip and everything, but it lasted
Yeah.
like 2 years.
Yeah, rumor has it that their fail rates have improved vastly over the last 12 months, but, how true is that? I don't know. It could just be propaganda started by Microsoft. But, they should have probably made an alternate form of the 360 a while ago. It probably would have helped with this issue. They've been just throwing away millions of dollars, year in and year out over this. So, to me, I think the most likely scenario is a new form factor for the 360 that hopefully fixes the overheating, the processor pulling away from the motherboard issues.
The
that they've
fan that makes it so you don't want to play games on it.
yeah, or watch movies on it. Yeah.
but where will my faceplate go on the new one?
Just tape it to the top.
Well, I think the faceplates were another failed experiment on Microsoft's part.
Listen to me, Lynch. If you love this woman, you stay the away.
Question number 3.
How many
What
licks does it take?
what is your personal underdog for the show, Justin Spear?
Personal underdog. Let me think for half a second. Actually, it's kind of an underdog, but Kane and Lynch 2, I've been thinking is actually looking really
Good
good.
pick.
I didn't hate the
Yeah.
first game, and the second one, just the realistic look they have to it. It looks like it's really clicking. So I'm expecting, and people totally wrote the first game off. There's a big controversy, so no one's expecting it, but I think it could actually be pretty awesome.
The
Yeah.
response to that game on the site's been pretty encouraging.
Yeah, and I've actually seen the game up close and had a chance to play the multiplayer. I agree with Justin. I think it's really going to surprise people. Multiplayer really sticks out as a strong feature of the game, so it's definitely going to have some legs after you're done with the single player. And again, going with the whole kind of like internet stream look, like the whole documentary kind of look, it's a little polarizing. Some people hate it, some people think it's gaudy, but on the other end, some people think it's cool. I think it's cool, and I think it will really surprise people.
What about you, Damiani? It's your underdog.
This game's been getting a lot of hate. I think it'll get some laughs from here, but Epic Mickey. Honestly,
That's an
so
pick.
Could be cool.
The concept is awesome, but just because it's been announced for Wii and nobody's actually really seen it in action yet, it's getting a lot of hate from people.
I wouldn't say nobody.
Oh. Yeah. But I think that game's going to surprise a lot of people when they finally get to see it. I think it'll get, the respect or the praise it probably will get when if it plays well. I still don't know how it plays, but
Well, everyone's been wondering what Warren Spector's been doing
Yeah.
all this time. He's the guy who created Deus Ex. He's kind of been known as a visionary for a long time. Justin's laughing.
I'm not.
He's been known
He's
as
cool.
a visionary in the industry for quite a while. He disappeared for a few years. This is what he's been working on. So at the very least, I think people should definitely pay close attention to that game. when it
Warren
finally-
Spector is going to slip you a Mickey.
Epic
I have a feeling no one will understand that anymore, but anyway.
Epic Mickey's kind of followed a weird parabola on the hype meter, right? Because when they first kind of leaked those concept arts, people were like, "Oh man, this is gonna be cool." But then when it came out in Game Informer and like people saw the screenshots, they're like, maybe not so much. But apparently, like the latest, impressions have been pretty positive, right?
Well,
Can anyone do a Mickey
well,
Mouse
there's
impersonation?
a rumor going around on the different forums that it's got some kind of graphic overhaul, and so people want to see what it looks like now. So we'll see.
Blood, do you have a personal underdog?
Yeah, I think I don't know how much of an impact it's going to have at E3, but for me, I think it's just probably going to be F1 2010
Wow.
because I got a look at it, and it was completely off my radar. Because F1 games
It's an
have
F1
never
game.
been on my radar. But I got to play a little bit of it. It feels great, and they have a lot of depth in there that goes way over my head, and they're doing a lot of cool graphical effects and things that I think are going to have an impact on their future games as well. So
My personal underdog for E3 is the Wii Vitality sensor. Seriously.
That's pretty under there. You can't get much lower.
Think about it, though. Think about if they bring that thing on stage and they manage to control Mario with their mind.
That would be.
Think about it, though. That would be pretty amazing, wouldn't
think
it?
about what your wife's going to think when she sees you clip that on.
Well, there's been a lot of changes in video games over the last few years she's dealt with. She dealt with the drum kit sitting in the living room for 2 years. She dealt with me waggling
Oh
shit
yeah, you told the
weirdly.
story with the waggle, suspicious looking.
Yeah.
waggle.
I think she'll get over something clipped on my finger. But think about it. Honestly, if they were to come out and show someone being able to control something as intricately as Mario with their mind, with no controller whatsoever, without having to move around, I think that could blow people's minds. So I don't think Nintendo will show it unless it could do something like that. If it's like some stupid thing where you can answer yes or no with your mind, I don't think they would show it. I think they've got something with that kit of peripheral that I think it could shock people. My other underdogs would
Electrical
be...
shocks maybe through the vitality.
I think it could be awesome. My other underdog would be Rare. I think Rare really has a chance to make a comeback at this year's E3. I think maybe they sort of run the course with the traditional control methods that they had been employing in their games. And I'm not talking about like Killer Instinct or whatever. I'm talking about their Natal games. So I would love to see a resurgence of Rare. I'd love to see that flash of brilliance they used to have. Here are my fingers crossed.
Your eyes will deceive you, and nothing will be what it seems.
Question number 4 happens to be in my lucky number, Blood, and you're the one that gets to answer it. What would your dream announcement be?
Well, I was thinking of this kind of in terms of surprise sequels and stuff, and kind of going off of your vitality sensor. Eternal Darkness 2.
Ooh.
And,
That
I think...
would be insane.
Yeah.
Literally.
What else would be better than to be playing with your heartbeat and throwing insanity effects at you?
That's true. And what has Silicon Knights been doing since Too
Too
Human?
Human was kind of a bust.
Yeah.
They kind of need to make sequels. I don't know if they'll get the money to make sequels for that, but
Yeah.
But I think, the reputation of Eternal Darkness is really high, and I think people would be very surprised and very happy to see a sequel to that. And I think Vitality Sensor would be pretty awesome with that.
What's your dream announcement, Damiani?
You can chalk this one up to a Weeaboo fantasy right here.
What?
Is it Weeaboo Fantasy 14?
Oh, this probably sounds retarded to other people, but I think it would be
Did
awesome.
you say that about your last answer?
Probably.
Disclaimer.
I liked how Studio Ghibli finally caved in and went into the video game industry with Ni no Kuni, which still is not out yet. But I've always wanted to see a collaboration between Ghibli and Miyazaki and something from Miyamoto and Nintendo. So if those two were just to come out on stage during the press conference and wrap it up with some like new Mario game being designed by both of them, I would just like
And controlled by your mind.
there's your vitality sensor game right there. That would be pretty awesome. And then maybe you can slip Nomura in there for some art design.
I'm sure you'd like that.
No, yeah, a Studio Ghibli Nintendo crossover would be amazing in my book. But will it happen? Probably not. So,
Morales?
The likelihood of my dream announcement is super low, but I'd love to see a collaboration between Blizzard and Activision on a console game. And Blizzard's been proven to make these super epic, experiences. And their cinematic, stuff is amazing. I'd love to see them kind of pare that down and have it actually be interactive rather than just watching a movie.
What about World of
Neat.
Warcraft on the consoles? I mean,
I think
Ryan cringes, but I mean,
It's a nightmare.
there's a lot of money to
Nightmare
be made
announcement.
right there.
I don't know if
It's
it'll
always
be World of
tough.
Warcraft, but yeah, we really do need to prove MMO on console space. I mean,
Yeah.
there's things in the works, but nothing's really taken off other than Final Fantasy XI.
I mean,
plenty
and
of fake
even
MMOs.
even that Final Fantasy XI on the consoles is still kind of like a weak experience compared to what you'd play on the PC.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, I'd love to see Blizzard do something like that. I think they're entirely possible of doing it. And with Activision, who knows? Maybe Blizzard's take on the shooter. They've been known to kind of take the genres and kind of like do it their own way. So I'd love to see how they would do shooter. But yeah, likelihood of that happening close to zero. But
StarCraft
That's
Ghost.
why it's a dream.
I could
right?
always dream, right?
Justin, what's your dream announcement?
Well, I guess we're kind of talking about dream announcement now, so I'm going to get that out of the way, and I'm just going to list a few, things that I'd kind of like to see or things that would be surprising. Steambot Chronicles 2. I've not heard anything about it for so long.
You mean
but
Bumpy Trot too?
I read an internet rumor that it's still alive, Bumpy Trot 2. But things that I think we could see. I mean, Ken Levine's game we don't know what that is yet. He wasn't making XCOM, which should be awesome. Demon Souls 2 is possible. Ryan's not here, so I
Ryan
feel
Hook.
like I have to bring that one up. We're supposed to be due for another Elder Scrolls game, and as much shit as I give Oblivion, Elder Scrolls is really cool, and if they did a new one, I would be all over it.
Yeah, I think
And,
that's probably what they're
yeah.
working on.
Lastly, if the Dead or Alive series continues without Itagaki, I don't know, that could be kind of interesting. And
My
that's
dream
my list.
Is that it?
That's my list.
My dream announcement would be to find out that Mikami is working on Resident Evil again. After Resident Evil 4, really genre bending. You see the echoes of that game in so many action games today. I would love to see him come back to that series after he sort of let the other people work on it for one installment to see what he could do now with all the new ideas. Maybe we're seeing some of that in Vanquish, but I would like to see what he could do with that series again and try to revitalize it, because I feel like my interest level in it has kind of dipped a little bit after 5, which was a good game, but it just wasn't really pushing the boundaries.
What about the Mikami Suda thing,
Oh yeah.
which is rumored to be the Franz Kafka?
See, I've dreamed about that for
Kuriyami.
2 years now, and I think I've finally given up on that dream. So maybe we can get him back on the Resident Evil franchise, and he can give that thing a shot in the arm. All right, I think this may be my favorite question from the whole list. What game will you play first? The show doors open, everybody runs in. What game would you run to first? This time we're going to start with Justin.
Oh man, that might depend on my advanced intel and what I can get. But let's see, if I had play one thing first, I don't even know. I expect going in, I expect not to be able to play a game until like the third day because we're so busy, hauling ourselves around. But if they just let me off the leash,
Presume that you're there, they crack the doors open, you can run in and play anything first. What would it be?
if Last Guardian was playable, I would just kind of camp out there and hope no one noticed me.
Okay. Bloodworth.
I think it'll probably depend for me largely on the press conferences, but either
Based
Zelda,
upon what you know now.
yeah, it would be either Zelda or Metroid. I mean, both of those I think are going to play very differently than past games, and to me, that's probably the most important thing with E3 is to get hands on those new experiences.
Go for Zelda and then tell us
Why
about
I'm
it.
all about
You know,
the
like
vitality
as
sensor.
much as like I would love to play Infamous 2, like I'm not that psyched about playing it at E3 because I kind of feel I'll probably play like the last game a lot with new powers.
Yeah, it's not a great environment for a game like that either, really.
Yeah.
Damiani?
Go with you, Bloodworth. Definitely be Zelda.
Yeah.
Running to play that, but after that, whatever the heck's playable on 3DS. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it's probably gonna be New Super Mario Brothers 3D.
Yeah.
just to
Going out on a limb there, Mike.
just to see what it looks like in person. I'm really excited to see what that looks like, and hopefully it's not a letdown. But yeah,
Morales.
Last Guardian, definitely on my list. But other than what's already been mentioned, I'd love to take a look at Metal Gear Rising if it's on the floor, just to confirm once and for all if it's really another stealth game or if they're going a completely different direction. Other than that, the fighting game geek in me wants to try out Marvel vs. Capcom 3 as well, just to see, if it'll live up to what I have in my head. But yeah, I think those.
Yeah, I think the funny thing to me about Rising is that now you have a series where the guy that's sneaky uses guns, and the ninja goes around and does all the flashy moves in front of everybody.
Well, I think for me, it would probably have to be Call of Duty Black Ops. I'm kidding.
wait, no.
It's like all
I can hear
staring at
all
you.
the internet kids out there going, pack, that idiot, blah, 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 blah. I'm actually going to agree with Damiani. I think it's the 3DS. Or I would like to see the 3D games that Sony is going to have at the show, if there are any. 3D is kind of the big thing right now. It's actually some movie producers have been coming out recently, talking about how it's going to destroy their industry or whatever. But it is kind of like the next paradigm. So I want to see how the industry is going to handle that. I have seen a couple 3D games at pre-E3 stuff at Judges Week that I wasn't that impressed with. So I'm hoping that a machine that's built entirely around sort of simulating that environment, I want to see how it's going to all pan out. So I would probably run to whatever the 3D stuff is first, and then I would start following in line with you guys. It would be Zelda, The Last Guardian, stuff like that.
I'd like you to meet a boy called Milo. He's a character that can recognize us, he can recognize our faces, he can recognize our voices, he can recognize emotions in us.
One thing that's always great about E3 is inevitably something incredibly embarrassing happens, usually at a press conference. Activision has had enough embarrassing moments in their press conferences the last 2 years to last a lifetime. Nintendo obviously had the highly embarrassing demo of Wii Music. So, with all these new sort of peripherals, way to play, like Move, Natal, the Vitality Sensor, which publisher do you guys think has the highest percentage of doing something completely and utterly embarrassing in front of the world? We'll start with Patrick on this one.
I'm going to have to go with Nintendo, really. I think
They have a great track record.
they do, absolutely. And I think maybe with the Vitality Sensor, it has some cool applications for sure. But I mean, just to trot it out on stage and have it like clip on someone's finger, I mean, that's gonna definitely elicit some awkward silences.
Well, they could very easily fake anything they do with the Vitality Sensor, right?
Yeah.
Once you
Exactly.
clip it on, you can have someone behind the screen or whatever doing whatever they want. There's no way to really prove that it's actually the Vitality Sensor, right?
Right, exactly. Plus, you never know. They might have some more like tomfoolery with like Cammy Dunaway or something like that.
I think the chances of that are pretty high.
Yeah.
Justin.
I don't know. The big three seem pretty much neck and neck. I mean, everyone has motion controls and new unproven concepts. It's just, waiting for something to go wrong. But maybe Activision could embarrass themselves with some totally retarded peripheral announcement or a new system that's based on a plastic guitar and you plug it directly into your,
Well, hopefully they bring some random celebrity on stage who doesn't give a shit about video.
They do that a lot too, yeah.
They do that every year, and it's comedy gold, so...
Ubisoft.
It's kind of like horse betting, I guess. I'd have to put my money on Nintendo, though. I'd put money on Nintendo.
It's like horse... how does that analogy work?
Well, there's different
It's just completely
things
random?
No, someone has to do it. Someone is going to come in first with the most embarrassing moment.
How does that relate to horse racing?
Well, they're horses and they're game publishers. It's not. There's no hidden meaning. It's picking,
What's the
picking a
obvious
horse.
meaning?
Well, it's like betting. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so it is like totally
Gambling.
random. All right.
Yeah. Or if you could bet on other things, like some people bet on sports games, but usually that's like two teams, and I think you have multiple publishers. They're like horses,
Okay. Bloodworth.
I think just because of the pure physicality of it, I think that Natal would stand a chance of having some embarrassing moments there. I mean, we had the Avatar twist around last year.
Well done.
And, and just there's just a chance for
You
somebody
don't
to
care
just,
what's on the bottom of an Avatar shoe?
No.
We know what it looks like.
But I mean, there's always a chance for somebody to kind of fall over or something like that, and then and also just a chance for there to just be some just completely ridiculous looking idea that tries to appeal to the core market and absolutely fails at appealing to anyone.
Now, I agree with you. I think Natal, definitely, but for an entirely different reason. I think because they're doing the show with Cirque du Soleil, that there is so much potential for that to end up looking completely hokey. I think the core gamers, there's a high chance that they're going to be like, what the hell is this? I mean, Cirque du Soleil is pretty awesome, but when you start think about it. What are they going to do?
Right. Well, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be just some kind of normal Cirque du Soleil show, and then they
play video of
Natal. It's like, oh, it's branded Natal, and it doesn't really have anything to do with it. But I could see like there being some executive just like thrust in there embarrassing themselves or something.
I just could see the whole thing being a complete and utter train wreck, which is why I really want to watch it just to see what happens. What about you, Mike?
I'm going to go with Sony.
Yeah?
Just because there's something deep down inside me is screaming 2006 all over again. I don't know. I just can't get over how the move looks, the wand part of it with the ball. If they're not going to cover that up.
Well, I asked him, I'm like, because you can screw the balls off of it. And I was like,
so
I'm like, can you like buy other things to screw onto it that, I didn't say this, but when I was thinking was it don't look so freaking retarded. He's like, no, we don't really have any plans for that. And if they did, it would probably be like a star or a unicorn.
Maybe
horn.
a rainbow.
Yeah, it's bad when my girlfriend thinks it looks retarded.
Yeah.
So
just expecting some game. It's just not going to control right. The guy's going to be going all over the place. And we're just going to see this like animated image of some guy looking like an idiot again. And then everyone.
But I mean, it did look pretty good at GDC.
I don't know. I thought the fighting game looked pretty terrible. It did not look like it matched up at all.
I mean, and I played it, and it definitely needed some work. But I mean, I think that would be really embarrassing, though.
I think they could get the stage presentations to look good on that.
They could, but then again, also the pricing of stuff. I mean, Sony's prices have not been very reasonable.
$599
US. Both of those
PSP
guys.
Go price, yeah.
I mean, they could really pull out some really inflated numbers and just blow the whole thing.
And then possibly, I know not everyone gets this, but last year with the GT5, some people got annoyed with the translator guy on stage for GT5. People thought he wasn't caring about it because he was taking so long to translate. That turned into a little bit of a joke, but Sony just needs to be aware of things like that. I mean, to professionals, that's not amusing, but to the audience, they perceive it a different way. And Sony usually doesn't catch all that and doesn't get their audience some of the time.
The birds. The warring birds with thunderous wings.
All right, and the last question of the show. Just how hard will 3D be pushed? Will Sony hand out 3D glasses at their press conference? We'll give that one to Blood.
I think that's probably going to be, aside from Move, I think the 3D is going to be what Sony pushes towards the core gamers.
Lame.
And I think Healy said today that they're going to have like 30 3D games out by March of 2011. So obviously a big push. I think the 3D glasses thing will just be a natural part of that, for them to really show that off. It makes me wonder how they're going to show up the 3DS on stage, honestly.
Yeah.
Because you don't need glasses, but you kind of need to be
build
on
a
top
giant,
of the device to get the
They'll build a
effect.
giant 3DS, and the characters will be like to scale human beings.
It'll microwave the presenter.
But yeah, I mean, we already know for sure Killzone 3, right? And then
Crisis 2.
Yeah, Gran Turismo 5, if it ever comes out. I mean, they have a lot of stuff that's really pushed at the core gamers, and I don't know. I mean, to me, 3D is it's definitely more of a core gamer thing. I know I have friends.
Do you think it is? Do you guys think that the 3D is a core gamer thing? Because I
It
kind of
seems
look
so
at it like
gimmicky to
motion
me.
controls, where a lot of the core gamers sort of pushed away from motion controls and were like, I'd rather have buttons and sticks.
Well, I have friends that like we saw Avatar in 3D and then we saw it on DVD and they liked it in 2D better.
I would completely disagree with that, but
Yeah, I don't know enough about the gaming side of it because I haven't played enough games in 3D. But I mean, from the movies, I mean, definitely from that perspective, like it has more of a mass appeal. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I think for gaming, it's gonna make it more mass appeal. It's gonna appeal to those types of gamers who like, the Move, the Natal, the Wii experience. So.
Yeah, you can kind of look at it two ways. I mean, and it's kind of a dumb gimmick in a way, which, the casual crowd loves dumb gimmicks. But it's also like a hardcore tech kind of thing. It's technology driven, so
and expensive.
Programmers like that.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say is at CES this year, that was pretty much the whole show. It was just one 3D TV after another, and you just walk past one group of people with glasses on standing around a TV after another. That's pretty much what the whole show was. And you're right, it is hardcore technology and it's expensive. It's for early adopters. Right now a 3D TV of the same size and resolution is almost double what you would pay for one that's not 3D. So I think you're counting on those hardcore earlier adopters to adopt it, and then I think they're hoping that we're the influencers who get the other people to buy it. But I still don't have a 3D TV. Does anyone here have a 3D TV?
No.
I mean, we're as hardcore as they come. So, yes, I think 3D glasses will definitely be handed out at the Sony press conference. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, they already have games in development. I'm sure they're probably trying to get a game like Crysis on their stage so they can show off, that the PS3 does 3D. Although the 360 does as well. Crysis 2 is going to be in 3D on the 360. I don't know if a lot of people realize that, but definitely we're going to see it. Definitely think it's going to be a big push. I think right now maybe you'll start seeing a lot of the tech demos from the smaller companies. There's no Kenchia Hall anymore, but I think you'll see at the periphery of the main halls, you'll see these guys with their little stands, and they'll have lots of like middleware stuff, like, oh, here's our middleware that can turn your game into 3D without you having to program it and that type of stuff. So I think it will be a big thrust at the show, and I think we'll definitely be donning some glasses at the Sony presser.
Real-time tech demos sparked your imagination. It certainly sparked the imagination of our development community. We're looking forward to sharing more about the motion controller with you in the near future. Thank you, everyone.
All right, that's going to do it for episode 111. I think we probably could have went on a tirade here and answered 80 questions. I mean, there are that many mysteries surrounding this year's E3. I think that's consequently why I'm more excited for this year's show than any E3 probably in the last 4 years. So it is going to be an awesome show. Do not forget, tonight, Game Trailers TV, E3 All Access, a dozen exclusives from the show, a full weekend before the show even kicks off. You definitely want to check it out. One thing I will say about it is that you will be surprised. So make sure you check out the show tonight. Spike TV, the only place you're going to be able to see it tonight at 11 p.m. Huge hour-long special, lots of exclusives. By now, we've beat the E3 drum. I think you guys know the kind of coverage we're doing from the show. We will have an episode next week after the press conferences where we will go over everything that happened. But pretty much all you need to do at this point is remember to go to GameTrailers.com/E3. We'll have all the press conferences streaming live 24 hours around. And these guys are like, oh God, here it comes. 24-hour around-the-clock coverage. It's going to be a great show. We really hope you guys will be along with us for the ride. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next at E3. Invisible Walls is up and out.